The morning show that doesn't suck.
That's life. In case you haven't noticed, it is cruel and uncaring.
You know who we're talking about. You're listening to Rob Mike Richards on Newstalk Sauga 960.
8:41. Raw Mike Richards. And, you know, there's such an interesting, almost a social experiment that we've gone through with how we eat and certainly how we drink. If you compare it to what, you know, depending on your age group, going back to maybe even the 70s or 80s, on how beer was enjoyed, the kinds of beers that were available, it has become such a different world. Now, in a couple of seconds here, Mike Jones is going to join us. Just need to click on the camera icon. We'll actually be able to see Mike. This will go out later on today, so you can hear and see exactly what we're talking about, because the beer is called Stonehooker, and there's a story behind it. Don't go nuts. Don't get upset. It's a method that was for gathering stone slabs from the shallow lake shore in southern Ontario. It was used primarily for, you know, building construction, which was kind of cool. And, you know, craft beer is something that we have an understanding of, but the beauty of it is it still is evolving. There's more of it coming on availability. And right here in Mississauga, basically Port Credit, we've got Stonehooker Brewery, and Mike Jones join us right now. How you doing, Mike?
Good, Mike. How are you? Good morning.
What a cool job and project this is. I mean, you've done a lot of stuff. I know that you've got a bit of a hockey background. So once I hear hockey background, it's kind of goes hand in hand with beer, doesn't it, really? When you think about
That's it. Yeah, it sure does. It is a very interesting industry. It has changed a lot, as like you said, and most definitely anybody that's you know, been on the rink or gets on the ice likes to have a cold beer after, right?
Yeah, well, that's usually how it works. Now, how does it work in you and this company coming together, sort of the genesis of Stonehooker itself? How do you end up being here in Mississauga?
Yeah, so it was, I had joined Stonehooker in, I guess it was October, halfway through October of last year. Stonehooker, the company, had started about 8 months just before, unfortunately, the pandemic. So, you know, just as things were starting to really pick up, and, you know, obviously a lot of thought and planning and production going into things, you know, you can imagine how, you know, disappointing it was to have the unexpected wave of the pandemic come in, but they managed to stay alive and, you know, do so through the grocery channels and retail and all that kind of stuff. But it's been an interesting ride for them, and you know, we've got about 10 full-time employees, and then, you know, 20 to 30 seasonal employees. But you know, we are a small batch Ontario craft brewery that is situated just on the outside of Port Credit on Lake Shore, and you know, we've got about a 9,000 square foot production facility that allows us to brew in small batches and brew a wide variety of beer styles. We've actually done 52 recipes. We're working on our 53rd. So, you know, every time we turn around, we're trying to explore kind of what could be next and what could be great. You know, having the variety of lagers and ales and pilsners and stouts and sours and IPAs, you know, really allows us to feed into every kind of mouth, for lack of a better word.
Well, the great thing about it, and this is now what we understand with beer, is that, you know, for years we understood wine and food pairings. It's something that people are always familiar with, even if it was like really old isms where, well, white goes with fish and red goes. Now we know so much more about wine and what it goes with, but the reality is beer has just as many, if not more, flavor profiles that go with food. And talking this morning, I said, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty adept at food pairings with wine, but sometimes people say, well, but what wine do you serve with Chinese food? What wine do you serve with Mexican food or Indian food? I go, well, it's beer. The best matches is not wine, it's beer.
Right. Yeah, it is. And you know, typically when people think about the pairing, it is wine, right? I mean, you go to a wine and cheese event, right? And it's, you know, wine and cheese. It's not beer and cheese. But we actually, there's a cheese spot a couple of doors down from us we do a lot of stuff with. And you know, he's been great. Lots of funky ideas, lots of events that, you know, they do and we do as well too. You like I said, on site, we do have a tap room and a beer hall in the back and a big beer garden out front that really sizzles in the spring and summer. It's really great. But yes, there's a wide variety of beers that do pair well with foods. It really all depends, on obviously the food type. And for me, it's like I'll drink any beer if it's on with any kind of food. But there are some people that drink certain types. Like for instance, our number one selling IPA, our New England style IPA, is called Broadreach, and it's obviously Stonehooker's the history behind stonehooking and having a nautical theme, allows us to have that beer pair extremely well. Broadreach is a sailing term, but it also was chosen for the name because it appeals to a broad variety of people. So, that's an IPA that really goes well with, any type of food, anything from Indian to pizza. So it is interesting how things have turned, and I think every food is specific. I am not really kind of the beer nerd, if you would, on the exact kind of ingredients. We've got a brewmaster. His name's Adam Cherry. He's extremely good with this kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely some exciting products that do pair well with food.
Now, people should also understand too, because I hear it all the time, that it's too hoppy. People just like to immediately say something's too hoppy. They hear about a craft beer and, oh, I don't like that stuff because it tastes a certain way. Well, that is wildly incorrect. I know why you'd say it. And look, if you're someone that, you're a Coors Light person or a Molson Canadian or a Labatt guy, whatever it happens to be, and I kind of have an understanding of maybe the kind of product you're drinking, but it varies. And as you'll find, if there's, if it's published, if you have like what they would call an IBU beside it, you're going to see that the level of what you could call bitterness, and it's all over the place. And just because, you have something that's really high, which might be 100 or whatever it is, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bitter, right? So it's also the style of the beer that has been made. So you have, I'm guessing, when you have 52 different types, which means you're like the Baskin Robbins of beer, you've got something for everybody. So if you like a milder style of beer, you probably have more than one of that style.
Yes, we do. And you're right. There is kind of it's not a misconception. I think that, different companies, there's 269 active craft brewers in Ontario right now. Canada just reached the 1,000 mark in the country. There's another 60 that are pending to be, built and go through this year in 2023. So, everyone is unique with their approach. The IBUs definitely has a lot to do with it. But what I will say is, proper ingredients and being able to have quality control over the small batch brewing in a situation like craft brewer, like Stonehooker, allows us to play with the IBUs, right? In terms of, how many there are in a certain type of beer, and then how many of X, Y, and Z are also into it, which kind of gives it the flavor that it does. So I think that, the other IPAs that I've tried and the other craft beer that I've tried, that is, it's first thing people like, oh, it's too hoppy. Oh, it's too this, it's too that. Well, some of it is. And there's a lot that aren't. It's just about finding that perfect, kind of match for yourself. So, like I said, we have our New England style IPA, which has 40 IBUs in it. Then we have our West Coast IPA called Southwester, which is a really great beer and at a bunch of licensees, state mains now, and all that kind of jazz. It's really starting to pick up. And it's got 67 IBUs, I believe, in it. So, a little bit stronger, and it's a little higher alcohol content. Our Broadreach East Coast is a 5.4, and the Southwester is a 6.3. So, definitely able to play with the IBUs, but I would definitely not want to get too far into the weeds about the technical side of the beer. But it's trying to find that balance, right, where it's not enough to kind of make you, squint your eyes together after a sip, and it's enough to kind of make you want to take another one.
You that's why you want to get down. You want to try it. I mean, that's why the tap room is there. And here in Mississauga, as I always tell anyone, no matter what station I've been at, you want to be as local as possible. You want to support these local businesses, and quite often you're going to find that business in your own hometown is better than the ones that you've been paying stupid money for, or sometimes it's a chain product, and you're like, discover stuff. I mean, and try stuff out and try it with different foods. And for instance, catering. There's a lot of times you might be having an event. Well, sure, I guess you get a couple of cases of, brand, what we all know, but it's a cooler thing at your own event. When you got something come up, you see the logo that Stonehooker has, you see where it's made, and all of a sudden your event becomes a way cooler one than just having a regular giant corporate brand there. All of a sudden, I think you kind of go up in estimation.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. We're obviously we're a staple in that kind of Lakeview / Port Credit community, right? And the future direction of the company, to the best of my knowledge, is to expand the production facility even further as things keep going well for us, and build a destination brew pub down on the lake in the heart of Lakeview or Port Credit, whatever you'd like to call it. But no doubt that there's a very, very strong sense of community when we have all these different events. Usually we have a different event every night of the week that will draw in a certain crowd, whether it's trivia or your comedy night or karaoke or live bands, that type of stuff. And it really is nice to see. I mean, we had an event, a kind of a New Year's soiree, obviously, just a few weeks into the new year, and Bonnie Crombie, the mayor of Mississauga, was there, and very exciting to see her and see the different types of people that are really important to us, that have supported us along the way, be there and enjoy a real good night. It was a fantastic turnout, but there are some struggles to being a craft brewer versus being a macro brewer, right? So you got to be thinking outside the box. Like we've got 18 beers that are consistently on tap, right? And then we've got kind of 24 more that are in cans and bottles. And like I said, we've done the 52 recipes, but being able to interact with the community and having those people come, and you see a lot of familiar faces, but in a lot of cases, a lot of businesses have 40, kind of 50, 60% of their clientele is repeat local clientele. So we've seen an extremely positive turnout from the community, and them interacting with our brands, and we hope to continue that with people like yourself, and hopefully soon to be in some type of relationship with the Mississauga Steelheads, which is obviously a big point, place in Mississauga as well too. So yeah, the excuse me, the local crowd, but it's funny, we draw in from people who come in from a couple hours away, right? They're visiting the city and they make a point of stopping by Stonehooker. And it really is a unique space, beyond the fact that, it can really get fun out in the beer garden during the summer months. For me, internally, the people are great, right? And that's the difference, right, of your job and your workplace. And, I think that the interactions between the staff members and my colleagues, excuse me, shows to the customers when they're in there. So,
well, and like anything else, like if you don't love it, like if you truly aren't in love with the environment of the business that you're in, when you go through like a pandemic or challenges, it won't last because you just don't love it enough. And there are times where, if you think you're going to, because a lot of guys think, okay, I'm going to do a wine. I've been involved with that. Guys getting involved with beer. Oh, we're going to get rich. This is the easy way to make money. No, it's not, because you kind of have to be good at what you do. And then when times do get tough, you want to stick with it. You want to stay with it because you believe in the product and you believe in the people. So I think that's probably exactly what you have there, Mike.
Yeah, it is for sure. And, being, more attached to the community in terms of, being festival organizers ourselves and attending farmers markets locally, and, hosting corporate events for businesses that are close by to Stonehooker, and doing private events and all that kind of stuff. It really is just such a great, fun place to come and, let your hair down, hang your hat up on the wall, and just, let her rip, right? In any speed and in any volume that you want. So it really is a unique spot. It's got a very interesting feel, to have everything under one roof, right? Your production, your canning, excuse me, your sales team, your marketing team, your operations team, like everything is done under that roof. And that's what people, sometimes fail to understand is it's like, well, hang on a second. We're not shipping anything out to get it back, to fix it. No. Like everything from the step one to the last step till it goes out the door is done under our roof in our hands, which is, a unique proposition for being able to, serve and produce delicious beer of all types and ranges.
It's great stuff, Mike. It really is. And by the way, having that available at a Steelhead game, that's a must. So I don't know, I can help you with that. So Paramount, if you're gonna be watching this today, let's get on this, because this is perfect. Exactly what you want. You go to a Steelhead game and what are you serving? That's a gimme. That's a no brainer. So we got to step on some toes here. We got to, or I'm a bit of an Irish thug, so we do it a different way, so look, we'll do this again, Mike, because this is very exciting. And I think this is just the kind of thing that communities need. And there's ways of giving back, and there's ways of interaction with the community, which obviously you do. So I thank you for this morning, but we'll definitely do this again, because this has been a blast, because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, for sure, Mike. Listen, we really appreciate it. Remember, we're down by the lake. So when you are down by the lake, stop in, okay?
Yeah. Well, be careful what you ask for. It's that Irish guy again. I don't think he's ever paid. Oh no, he's got all these stories. It's wearing a hat. You take care, and we will see you soon, Mike.
Great, Mike. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your time.
That is Mike Jones from Stonehooker. They have done a wonderful job, and they're one of those businesses. They made it through the tough times, and so now I think you can look forward to some good times. I'd like to thank